The tension in Formula One reached a boiling point after the Mexican Grand Prix, and this time, it wasn't about overtakes or strategy. It was about Lewis Hamilton taking a direct stand against what he called absurd FIA decisions. The seven-time world champion, known for his composure and professionalism, couldn't hide his frustration after being handed controversial penalties that not only affected his race result, but also reignited the long-standing debate over consistency and fairness in F1 officiating. What exactly happened in Mexico that pushed Hamilton to lash out at the FIA so openly? And does he have a point about the decisions being unfair? Let's break down the full story. The drama began early in the Mexican GP weekend when the stewards started handing out penalties that many drivers, teams, and fans called overly harsh and inconsistent. Hamilton was hit particularly hard after two separate incidents were investigated, one during qualifying and another in the race itself. The first came when he was accused of impeding another driver during a hot lap in Q2, a move the FIA said warranted a reprimand and a fine for Mercedes. But the bigger controversy came during the Grand Prix, when Hamilton was handed a time penalty for allegedly forcing another driver off track during a wheel-to-wheel battle. In the heat of the race, Hamilton was chasing hard, trying to maximize every lap on worn tires. As he defended against pressure behind and attacked the car ahead, contact was inevitable in the narrow confines of Mexico's circuit. But when the FIA immediately issued a 5-second penalty, many fans and even commentators were left scratching their heads. The move looked like a hard but fair racing moment, the kind of aggressive but controlled maneuver Formula One is supposed to celebrate. Yet once again, Hamilton found himself on the receiving end of what seemed like an arbitrary call. When the race ended and the checkered flag fell, Hamilton didn't hold back. In the post-race media interviews, he looked visibly frustrated. "It's ridiculous," he said, shaking his head. "I don't know what's going on with the decision-making lately, but it feels like the rules keep changing depending on who you are or what race it is." His tone was calm but sharp, the kind of controlled anger that comes from years of feeling targeted by inconsistent rulings. He went on to say, "We keep talking about letting drivers race and then we get penalized for racing. It's absurd. This isn't the first time Hamilton has voiced concerns about FIA decisions, but the timing of his comments is significant. After several questionable calls throughout the season, including penalties given and later revoked for other drivers, the FIA's credibility has come under renewed scrutiny. Many within the paddock have noticed what they see as double standards, where similar incidents lead to completely different outcomes depending on who's involved or what team they drive for. And in a championship where every point matters, these inconsistencies can completely alter the narrative of a season." Hamilton's criticism was echoed by several fellow drivers and even rival team bosses who, without naming names, agreed that stewarding this season has been all over the place. Some pointed to recent moments where drivers escaped penalties for more serious incidents, while others were punished for minor contact. The phrase "let them race" has become almost ironic now, as the FIA continues to walk a fine line between maintaining control and over-policing the sport. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff backed Hamilton's frustration, saying, "We just want consistency. If Lewis is penalized for that move today, then the same standard should apply to everyone. But that's not what we're seeing." The team reportedly submitted a formal inquiry to review the penalty, not necessarily to overturn it, but to push the FIA to clarify its guidelines for racing incidents moving forward. Social media, as expected, exploded with reactions. Fans flooded timelines with side-by-side video comparisons showing similar overtakes from other drivers that went unpunished. Hashtags like "Nair Justice for Lewis" and "Nair FIA Double Standards" trended within hours of the race ending. Former drivers also chimed in, some supporting Hamilton's stance, others arguing that he should move on and focus on the next race. But no matter which side of the debate you fall on, it's clear that this incident reopened an old wound in Formula One, the question of whether the FIA treats all drivers equally. Hamilton's comments also touch on a deeper issue. Throughout his career, he's faced both criticism and praise for being outspoken on topics ranging from race fairness to equality and safety. This time, however, his frustration was purely about sporting justice. He made it clear that he loves hard racing and that he's not asking for special treatment, but rather for the same rules to apply to everyone. "We put our lives on the line out there," he said. "All we ask is consistency and clarity. That's it." Behind the scenes, insiders suggest that Hamilton's remarks may trigger another round of meetings between the FIA and team representatives before the next race. There's growing pressure from multiple sides to simplify the stewarding process and introduce clearer standards for racing incidents. Some have even suggested assigning a permanent panel of stewards to ensure more consistent decision-making, rather than rotating officials each weekend. For now, the FIA has not issued an official statement directly addressing Hamilton's comments, but sources indicate that the governing body is aware of the backlash and reviewing the circumstances of the penalty. Still, history shows that it's rare for the FIA to admit fault or overturn penalties after the fact, which means the incident will likely remain a sore point for Hamilton and his fans. Despite the setback, Hamilton's performance in Mexico was nothing short of impressive. Even with the penalty, he showcased brilliant racecraft, overtaking multiple cars, managing tire wear, and keeping pace with the front runners despite a less-than-ideal strategy. His resilience on track only made the penalty sting more, as many felt he had earned a podium on pure merit. Instead, the additional seconds dropped him several positions, costing valuable points in both the drivers' and constructors' standings. This kind of frustration isn't new for Hamilton. He's had to deal with controversial rulings throughout his career, from Spa 2008 to Abu Dhabi 2021. But what makes this moment stand out is how he channeled his anger into a call for change, not just for himself, but for the sport as a whole. In many ways, his voice carries weight beyond just racing results. It represents every driver who's ever felt that the system isn't transparent enough. As Formula One continues to grow globally, the FIA faces increasing scrutiny from fans, sponsors, and media alike. The demand for fairness and transparency has never been higher, and moments like the Mexican GP highlight just how fragile that trust can be. When one of the sport's most respected champions publicly questions the system, it's a sign that something deeper needs fixing. For Hamilton, the Mexican Grand Prix may go down as another race where controversy overshadowed performance, but it also reaffirmed his role as a leader willing to speak up, even when it's uncomfortable. As he put it in one final statement after the race, "If you can't speak the truth in this sport, then what are we doing here? I love racing, but I want to race in a sport that's fair." The road ahead will test not just Hamilton's patience, but the FIA's credibility. Will they address these concerns with real change? Or will another controversy erupt before the next Grand Prix? One thing's for sure, the fire inside Lewis Hamilton is far from fading, and his fight for fairness might just be the spark Formula One needs to confront some long-overdue truths. After the stormy Mexican Grand Prix weekend, the tension between Lewis Hamilton and the FIA didn't fade, it only intensified. In the days following the race, discussions across the paddock, media, and fan communities continued to swirl around one question: has Formula One lost its sense of fair play? Hamilton's sharp criticism of the FIA's decisions echoed through every corner of the sport, pushing governing officials to finally respond to the growing controversy. And as new information emerged, it became clear that what happened in Mexico wasn't just a one-off mistake. It was a symptom of a much deeper issue in modern Formula One. Behind closed doors, the FIA immediately convened a post-race review meeting. Insiders revealed that officials were under heavy pressure from both teams and drivers to explain the reasoning behind the penalties. The official report stated that Hamilton's maneuver during the race forced another competitor off track, violating Article 33.3 of the sporting regulations. But Mercedes countered that the move was no different from countless other overtakes seen this season, many of which went unpunished. In short, they argued that the rulebook was being applied selectively, and that inconsistency was eroding trust in the sport's integrity. As the FIA released a vague statement defending their decision, fans weren't convinced. The backlash online grew louder, with side-by-side footage comparing Hamilton's move to similar incidents involving Verstappen, Alonso, and Leclerc, all of whom escaped without penalties. Commentators and former drivers joined the debate, with Martin Brundle noting on Sky Sports, "If that's a penalty, we might as well tell drivers not to race at all." It was the kind of public reaction that Formula One's governing body couldn't ignore. Inside the Mercedes garage, the frustration was palpable. Team principal Toto Wolff, never one to shy away from a fight, hinted that the team might file an official request for clarification ahead of the next Grand Prix. "We're not asking for special treatment," Wolff said. "We just want to understand where the line is." Because right now, it seems to move every weekend. This uncertainty, he argued, not only affects drivers' confidence, but also ruins the spectacle for fans who tune in expecting pure, competitive racing, not legal disputes after every race. Hamilton, meanwhile, chose his words carefully in follow-up interviews. Instead of escalating the situation, he struck a more reflective tone. "I've been in this sport long enough to know these things happen," he said. "But we can't just keep brushing them off. Formula One needs consistency. The best racing comes when we all know what's allowed and what's not." His comments resonated far beyond his own fan base, earning support from rivals like Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris, who both agreed that the sport's rule enforcement has become unpredictable. What makes this particular controversy so significant is that it highlights a growing divide between drivers and officials. The FIA has faced mounting criticism over unclear stewarding decisions throughout the 2025 season, from track limits chaos to time penalties that seem to contradict each other from one race to the next. Some believe that the root cause lies in the FIA's rotating panel of stewards. With different officials interpreting the rules at every Grand Prix, there's no uniform standard. Even small differences in judgment can lead to drastically different outcomes, leaving teams confused and fans frustrated. By midweek, rumors began to surface that the FIA was considering a reform, potentially introducing a permanent lead steward to oversee all race weekends and ensure greater consistency. It's a move many in the paddock have been calling for, and while it's still in the discussion phase, Hamilton's public outburst might have accelerated the conversation. In that sense, his anger may have achieved what years of quiet complaints couldn't, forcing the FIA to confront the flaws in its own system. Meanwhile, social media continued to fuel the fire. Hashtags like "Let Them Race" and "Justice for Hamilton" trended across platforms, and even major sports outlets in the US picked up the story. For an American audience still relatively new to Formula One, the drama only added to the sport's growing allure. But for seasoned fans, it reignited memories of other controversial moments. Spa 2008, Brazil 2022, and of course Abu Dhabi 2021, all moments that shaped the narrative around FIA's questionable decision-making. As the next race weekend approaches, all eyes are on how Hamilton will respond on track. He's known for channeling frustration into performance, and his history shows that controversy often fuels his determination. Sources within Mercedes suggest that he's already turned the page, shifting his focus entirely to the upcoming Grand Prix, while quietly pushing for internal discussions with the FIA behind the scenes. The team has reportedly requested a formal clarification on overtaking rules, hoping to ensure that the same situation doesn't repeat itself. But the bigger question remains, will the FIA listen? Or will Hamilton's comments be dismissed as just another emotional reaction from a frustrated driver? The governing body's next move could set an important precedent for the rest of the season. If they acknowledge the need for reform, it could restore some faith in their credibility. If they ignore it, they risk widening the gap between drivers, teams, and officials even further. In the end, this controversy goes beyond just one race in Mexico. It speaks to the soul of Formula One itself. What kind of racing the fans, drivers, and sport want to see. For Hamilton, it's not about one penalty or one lost podium. It's about protecting the essence of the sport he's dedicated his life to. As he put it best, "We race because we love the challenge, the fight, the competition. But when the fight isn't fair, it takes something away from all of us." And that's the truth the FIA can no longer afford to ignore.